Welcome back, everyone, to another interesting panel discussion for the day. The future of cloud, the trends to experience in 2022 and beyond live, for which I would like to welcome the panelists for the day. So, Mr. Sagar Narasimha, Chief Information Security Officer, Amagi Media Labs Private Limited. And I would like to welcome Mr. Piyush Yadav, Head of Product and Technology, Scoop Media Private Limited, and Mr. Rajesh Katuria, Assistant Vice President, Information Technology, Shimaru Entertainment.
Good
And I would
afternoon,
like to
everybody.
welcome Subhamoy Chakrabarti, Chief Information Officer, Anand Bazar Patrika, ABP Group. And of course, I would like to welcome the moderator for the panel, Ms. Sarbani Bhatia, Senior Vice President, IT, Jagran Prakashan. So over to you, Sarbani. I think we are facing some issues in terms of
Yeah, she's not in
moderator.
here.
Just give me a quick. Um, I just wanted to request her since she is the moderator is facing some technical issues in terms of joining the link. Is there anyone who would like to take the initiative in order to take over the panel for time being till she joins? Yeah, of course. Okay, if that is the case, we will have to wait for her. So let me just help her joining in the session.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, it was my turn to have technical glitches. Is it clear now, or is there still a lag?
No,
Is it better now?
there's a typical lag. Maybe you want to
There's a
reduce
slight
your
lag.
bandwidth. Yeah, you may want to reduce your video
Okay.
bandwidth. There's a setting there. See if that helps you.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
You just drop it down. Does it work for
I
you?
just,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
I reduced the resolution.
Correct. Correct.
Is,
Please speak. We'll hear you.
is it better?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's hear
okay,
you.
fine. Are we good to go?
Yeah. You're live. You're live.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone acknowledges the fact that cloud computing is one unstoppable trend in the IT industry. It may vary where an IT organization is in its cloud journey and trying to work out the benefits of cloud adoption. A lot of major M&E players have also have started working on the cloud computing as well as cloud storage. I would like to begin by asking my esteemed panelists how significant, relevant do you think is it for an MNE player from
Lost you if you can hear me. Lost you.
Maybe you can switch off your video and then try audio only.
Yeah.
That helps.
Another possibility, switch off your video totally.
I think there are a lot of internet issues at server name, but there's a text we have of what the question is. I think we should take it forward.
Yeah, I think Sagar, you may want to start.
Okay, sounds good. So I was just hoping that, sure. So basically, I think we have a distributed panel here, right from content creators to broadcast companies, so it has affected them. Um, and let's start at the first, at the beginning of the supply chain, right? The content creation where it actually happens. So I I think Piyush, like if you could throw some light on how it actually is making your job easier, complicated, simpler, because easier, simpler are two different things, right? Um,
Yeah,
so you want to throw more light on how the content creation part of the supply chain is getting affected by this?
yeah. So at Kubu, we are doing both. We are doing content in terms of media as well, video as well, and then in text as well, and a lot of parts in images as well. We do a lot of memes, which is GIF images. So we need a lot of heavy bandwidth connection with our 10 million plus users, which we cater every day. So what I think is that if we start discussing about cloud, let's also consider comparing it with the on premises and the proprietary solutions which we used to have earlier. And since then, I think the future, what I see with the cloud is that with all the systems, with whatever is built in the cloud providers right now, I have a very secure and very scalable on-demand cloud native cloud solutions which I am getting. I do not have to rely on my infra so much when it comes to delivering to my users. My downtimes have reduced to nearly 0%, which earlier were really a problem. So the the biggest achievements which have been made by cloud is these only. And plus, from the software development side, we see a lot of quick deployment, quick releases of our updates. Our reachability has increased. We have multi availability zones, which is basically a kind of a trademarked product for a lot of cloud providers. So whether my users, many of my users are just not in India; they are in Singapore, they're in US, and they still get the same delivery speed and reliability when they connect to my platforms. And I think the biggest good thing about cloud is that we have multiple fallback system. I think many of times I have faced downtimes on one of my system, but my other failback mechanism has just kept me alive. So I think this is what I see in the future as well, that these are scalable, reliable, and robust systems which we are building, and our users are happy, and our content creators are happy about it. Yeah.
Great. I think that's really good input. One more, just one more point before I think would like to hear something from Rajesh as well. Is that I think with media, one of the most critical aspects of it is the processing speed in terms of processing the media, the post production that's involved in it, and with the whole idea of being able to elastically scale compute, uh, the cloud has brought in a completely new world in terms of how fast we are able to actually do post processing and post production of our video streams and images, and kind of integrate them with a lot of graphics, and kind of get them out of the shop really fast. So Rajesh, like, just wanted to hear if there's anything more you would like to add to that in terms of how it's working for you. Rajesh, we can't hear you. You're on mute.
Sorry. I think you're aware that I represent Shimaru. We are a 60-year-old company, and our products and services are spawning from the OTT, which is the latest. Then we have a TV, and then we also have something called the Cloud Kitchen. So if it wasn't for the cloud, we would not be able to deliver these services and transform.
Correct.
The future is very exciting. Future is for us is the next step wherein we need to service and support our customers. We need to keep them loyal. So now there are a lot of more such things available which are, can be done at your desktop level, which earlier was only a geeks could do it, or you had a dependency on those big companies which had the know-how and technology. Now all that stuff is coming packaged in with the cloud. So the future is very exciting. You can do your own analytics, you can do your own augmented BI, you can look at delivering things. The classical stuff of film distribution and production, if it is not for an OTT, is a problem. But the 5G, if and when it starts and if it delivers, will definitely help to deliver content across wherever it's needed. With this, I conclude.
Right. So even from a broadcasting perspective, right, I think we've started off on a very functional and a very optimistic note on how cloud is actually helping. We also foresee a couple of challenges. So I come from a security background, and we do foresee a couple of challenges in terms of the kind of risks that going into clouds play. I mean, when you're talking about CI/CD, when you're talking about high business agility and the softwares that are getting deployed really fast, SaaS applications, open APIs, you have bots, you have piracy, privacy, and all of these things going on. So I think I don't know if time permits, we'd probably talk a little bit more about that. But right now, what I gather is um, like and we can spend some more time on understanding this whole idea of OTT which is coming in, right? First there was linear TV, then we moved on to this idea of VOD. I think that is also largely because of the whole cloud setup that we were able to move into this VOD, and then we are again circling back to the linear TV model, right? So I think that's a very interesting dynamics that's happening in the broadcast and media industry today. So Shubhnamay, you would you want to kind of jump in? Like, please feel free to just add
Yeah, sure.
um, on the board.
So, yeah, I represent ABP, which is the print media. So we have, when we are in the 100th year, we are completing 100 year actually on 12th March. So
Wow,
we have a regional
congratulations.
newspaper. Sure. We have a regional Bengali newspaper as well as an English national daily. Now, so I would start from a little. I mean, I will take a step back. So when we talk about cloud, I mean, all of us have been using cloud in some way or the other. Uh, when we talked about cloud, possibly some of us started using cloud for employees first. I mean, it can be productivity app, it can be for HRMS, it can be for any other functional app. So that was one journey. The other journey has been for the customer-centric applications. Now, most of the media houses, if you see, are primarily obviously is on content business. So either delivering content or OTT or any other form of things. Now, here in this kind of business, the internal data center is not an option at all. So obviously you have to go to cloud because of the size of the content, the variability of the customer size and viewership, etc. So there is absolutely no option to go for in-house sort of setup. Having said that, I think media houses have also interest in non-content business as well. I mean, all of us have invested in kind of classified business or classified ad booking business, or even people are doing school business. We have also some sort of interest in that. So there also we have an e-commerce business as well. Now there again, I mean, it's a cloud native application, so there is no option of thinking about that on premises. Now if we talk about future, I mean, that's kind of present state. Obviously all of us are using that. If you talk about the future state, I personally see two areas where possibly cloud will play a major role. So, in specific to our areas, one is natural language processing. So, NLP is big because the regional language newspapers, if you look at the readership and volume in India, regional language newspapers leads the English newspapers by miles. So unfortunately, the technology is mostly, I mean, obviously because of the very basic reasons, technology is oriented towards English language. So for the regional language newspapers, one of the major challenges is to look at the archived content. So for example, we are on the 100th year. Many other newspapers are there, regional newspapers, which are more than 60 years at least. So making sense of this archival content is very important. I mean, somebody should not be sitting there and tagging it, right? So there NLP possibly will play a bigger role, and some of the cloud vendors who have presence in India, they have started working some of the regional languages as well, including Bengali. So we are hopeful for that. So that's one area that I see as a future area of cloud. The other is obviously analytics. Analytics, again, I mean, if you talk about analytics, it has migrated from MIS to analytics, and the next step will be analytics to algorithm. So for moving from analytics to algorithm, again, you need a lot of data, a lot of space, a lot of compute. That might not be possible on an on-premise data center. So I will rest my case here, and I will let others
Yeah.
speak now.
Wonderful.
Oh,
So it's amazing how this the traditional cloud computing has, and traditional media houses like yours, I can totally connect because Jagran Group is also one such group. Traditional language paper, diversifying, trying to keep up with the times, and coming up with a lot of internet, mobile, and digital properties. And it's wonderful to see a balance between the traditional media and the new age in cloud native verticals, the latest internet and ground, how they are shaping up. These were born in the cloud, and the traditional media with all its legacy applications. Earlier, there was this apprehension because the core media functions were not available in the cloud. But now, of course, there are media specific solutions available out of the box functionality, and a lot of cutting edge technologies, like you mentioned. NLP is there, and then voice recognition, computer vision, etc., which is really helping in content discovery. And the analytics, of course, drives a lot of helps us drive insights and work on the consumer segmentation, and trying to focus on the consumer retention and consumer engagement bit. So, also these days, with the abundance of mobile phones, and with the boost in connectivity, penetration of internet, and with the advent of social media, the demand for content is forever on the rise. High quality audio, video formats, live data streams is always on the demand. And moreover, this pandemic, when consumers were homebound, online data consumption really spiked by 30%. So, do you think that media and entertainment companies can introduce some kind of flexibility, agility, and speed to market by embracing cloud solutions? My question to
But
you,
you,
Sagar, would you like to take it?
of course. I think that was one of the first statements of when we started this discussion, right? When you look at a traditional broadcast environment, it was predominantly a lot of encoders, decoders, transcoders running on machines, and upgrading these, maintaining these were extremely high cost. We were talking about satellite uplinks and downlinks. So uh, inherently there's a tendency to accommodate latency, which kind of creates delays in go to market. Tremendous amount of planning involved, um, especially in situations where we are broadcasting live right now. Amagi largely is a SaaS offering, right? Which is where we are trying to solve this precise problem for all our uh, content creators and broadcasters, right? It's expected to be a plug and play where you have content, you just start working with Amagi, plug in your content, and right from ad monetization to viewer analytics, uh, uh, to post production processing, ad insertions, everything kind of happens on the fly, uh, which I think uh, it's kind of disruptive in the market, right? As when you look at traditional versus what it is doing now, I think the growth is exponential. And By and large, we see a lot of broadcasters moving to digital first, and then we see them moving to more into cloud based applications and services where they're flexible and they're live. The kind of implications it's having on the cost, as far as broadcasters is concerned, is huge. For example, if you look at what happened during the Olympics, right? So Amagi was one of the channel partners for the Olympics broadcasters, and during the process of live broadcast during the Olympics, there's tremendous amount of infrastructure that was needed. It was scaled up for that particular period and kind of released afterwards. So while the viewership remains the same, if it is not increased, the ad monetization is still the same. So the companies are making just as much money and incurring way lesser cost, right? So in terms of agility, in terms of flexibility, I think in terms of being able to monetize an event, um, and it appeals to users, kind of looks like a win-win situation for everybody. So I think it's going to become the norm, right? There does not seem to be a business case for having a really robust and solid on-prem infrastructure anymore, unless you have some legacy systems that you're just not able to move to the cloud. Uh, it just it just seems extremely counterproductive to stick to a more traditional approach. Uh, Cloud is going to be the norm. It's just that, hey, how wide is it going to be? How big is it going to be? How many providers are you going to plan with? How much faster can it be? Right? It's just that we are limited by the fact that we cannot broadcast an event before it has happened. If we could do that, we would have probably done that as well. But yeah, I mean, just as it's happening, uh, it's almost near real time, and the latency is just ignorable at this point. So for broadcasters, I think it's just intuitive that the next big step that they need to make is to go digital and move into the cloud. But
Shubhamoy,
yeah.
you come from a traditional, yeah. Yeah, Shubhamoy, yours is also a company which has wonderfully diversified into the new age internet, mobile, and web properties. What do you have to say about this flexibility and agility and speed to market benefits of the cloud adoption?
Yeah, I mean, say cloud by design actually fosters agility, flexibility, whatever adjectives that we're using.
Yeah, by
So
definition. Yes.
it's by definition it's about first deployment along with the flexibility. And I think when we talk about new products and the time to market that we are thinking about, I mean, it's very short. Most of us are talking about 2 months, 3 months. We recently launched a new product in Bengali language, which is a kind of all contents that ABP has into one app, which we built in 3 months. So, I mean, possibly we can't even think about getting a server delivered in 3 months in today's world. So, just forget about data center. I mean, if you talk about current cheap crisis, if you order for any server, it will take at least 3 months to get it delivered at your doorstep and then setting that up, etc. So I think on-premise is not an option at all for this kind of fast delivery, first deployment. Having said that, I think only point that hurts companies like us is about the cost part. Uh, if you talk about India scenario, India old business houses generally, I mean, we tend to extend the life of any hardware. So though on paper, pen and paper, the life of a hardware is 5 years or 4.5 years or whatever, but I'm sure most of us will agree that in reality that goes beyond 5 years to a large extent.
That's beyond.
Now, when
Correct.
you when you compare that cost with a cloud cost, uh, that sometimes arithmetic doesn't work out. So I mean, if you talk about cloud, I personally believe that you should not even do that comparison, because cost, if you bring that factor in, then cloud is going to be, I mean, that cost will kind of be a roadblocker. So we should talk about flexibility, we should talk about innovation, we should talk about first time to market, and that should be the case for cloud, not the cost.
Correct.
Great.
I tend to agree with you. This whole thing about lower cost on the total cost of ownership, it is a myth. The cost does
Yes.
scale up, and a lot of times I've seen some peers also getting misguided at the time of estimating and trying, deciding on it. A lot of hidden factors, multiplication factors are not taken into account, and then the total cost actually shoots once, because
I
you've
think
given a lot.
when the cloud vendors come in, the basic assumption is your hardware life is 5 years, which is not the
Yeah,
case in India.
not
So
the case.
most of us, we know how to extend life of hardware. So
Yes, yes.
so that
So,
kind
so
of
No,
uh,
yes.
creates a problem
just
for the
building
I
on,
mean,
just adding on to
correct, correct.
what Sarbani and Subhamoy are saying. I just want to add one more thing here, right? When you come from a traditional technology background, like we've been in the industry for about 16, 17 years now, and initially when you look at it, when a new technology comes into the market, now there is a latency. There is some time while that, it takes time for adoption and then optimization and all of these things happen. There used to be a good 2 3 years before a technology could actually get adopted, before operating systems were actually completely adopted and used across large scales. uh, at the same time, just moving, taking it one step forward, right? uh, it used to take some time before those operating systems, those technologies actually got broken as well, whether it's by hackers or different attack vectors, right? And that's after which the security team used to come in and say, okay, we've lost something, we know this much about the current technology landscape, and this is all these things that we can do about it. Now here's the problem, right? Which is why I'm saying, uh, if you look at it, if you directly do an apple to apple comparison, and hey, how much does it cost to run my server, let's say for 10 years, versus how much does it cost to go on the cloud for that same amount of time, it might not be the same. But when you look at the indirect costs involved, a new version of the operating system is released, it's just immediately adopted within the next 2 3 months, next quarter. The technology is adopted. At the same time, within 2 3 months, it's broken, and suddenly you need to start protecting it, right? So within one quarter, you have gone right from adopting a new technology to protecting it. And this thing that you are on right now is going to change in the next 3 months, in the next 6 months. So your security has got to be extremely agile. And now when you put that in the context against traditional systems, we bought McAfee licenses for 3 years, right? We bought a big server, we bought McAfee licenses for 3 years, and we sat on it and we were happy. But when you look at it today, you have a McAfee, it's over. People have moved on from EC2 to Kubernetes, right? We are on containers already. McAfee is obsolete at this point. The kind of server protection we have is obsolete. So now I'm spending more on CrowdStrike. I'm spending more on something else. So when you look, of course, we're definitely not saying that if you look at hardware cost versus cloud, you're definitely, I completely agree with Shubhamoy and Sabani, you too. But when you look at the total cost of technology that you are consuming, right, in terms of services, protection, in terms of upgrades, delivery, uh, I think the cost kind of works out, evens out at the end of the day. That's just my 2 cents on this.
Yeah. So, holistically speaking, the compliance, the security, the upgrades, and all of that done in a flash and you're peaceful. So, that kind of takes care of that extra built in cost that we tend to save by extending our life of servers, endlessly beyond 5 years, etc. And a lot of peace for the CIO, CTO in terms of all of those, upgrades, etc. So,
Great,
that definitely takes care of the agility and the flexibility and the speed to market also.
great.
So, okay, so moving on to the next aspect of today's consumer is always spoiled for choice. I feel with so many options at his disposal, he is the attention span is extremely low. They're very savvy, very demanding, and it is no longer enough for a media company to produce and distribute content. To thrive, to stay ahead of competition, and to ensure growth, one must focus on consumer engagement and retention, and offer personalized experiences, custom recommendations. So, how do you think cloud solutions help help the media companies to deliver better services in the market and to offer better content to a fine-tuned targeted audience? Rajesh, you have a storehouse of content at Shimaro. We've grown up watching your video cassettes, and our earliest video at home experiences have been through Shimaro. And today you're an aggregator of video content. So, what do you have to say about this fine tuned targeted consumer offerings?
So it's very simple, back in the old days to track the usage, understand consumer behavior was all done offline. Now with things scaling up, it's not possible to do it in the same method. Plus the content formats have got changed. So the reason now you have things like OTT is because you have to graduate from the good old days of going and taking the cassettes and all those things, and now you get it streamed at your device of your choice. Now all that is measurable. The advertiser also is interested in knowing your content, how it is doing, how what people are preferring. So for example, if today if you need anything in a Bollywood content, we are well known to offer the same. So obviously, for a traditional company like us too, we have transitioned, and that is paying us back. So there is no second doubt about it. And more importantly, it is articulated right from customer till the back end. You can do a chargeback. One important thing which we must understand is in a traditional medium, chargeback was very difficult. Now it is very easy to do a chargeback with the cloud. So whatever services you're offering and whichever department is contributing, thanks to the technology, you can actually identify the start point and end point and the consumption of it, and you can charge back to the provider inside the company also. In the end, it's a win-win situation, because if the content is not sellable, basically we are all trying to sell at the end of the day. So things are getting sold, how they're getting sold, why they're getting sold, from where it is getting sold, all that is measured and tracked, and everything is data. So you're informed on a data. If that is what you believe in, then this is the way to go about using the cloud computing. In a traditional method, it's very difficult to achieve that. All your new softwares are all coming on the cloud. It doesn't make sense for you to invest in enterprise-based antivirus servers or patching or whatever else you have in a typical enterprise. It's too costly to maintain. Even if you want to do an archival and stuff like that, and you want to retrieve at the speed of thought, if that is a concept, there's no second thing about it that cloud is the way to do. Only thing, the model has to be perfect. The traditional model which we have all learned, that needs to be applied. It has to be modified, and then that should become acceptable as key stakeholders, and then you're good to go.
I think so. So just to add on to what Rajesh was saying, right? And I'm sure Piyush can actually throw a lot of light on it, being a contemporary
Yeah,
content creator, right? Uh, you're literally
yeah.
able to talk to uh, talk to your viewers now. You actually know what they like, what they don't like, and your agility in terms of bringing down what they don't like and kind of getting out what they like is fantastic. So. Yeah, I just wanted to say that and hear more about what Piyush had to say on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the question is about, how are you improving your users' life, and we are trying to striving hard to actually make that possible. As Bhatia ma'am said, that it's a choice overload for the content user, and it may seem like it is unlimited content, but it's not. In the end, you become choice overloaded, and then you just throw your phone away and just stop scrolling. So until unless it's relevant automatically through your platform, only then it's going to work. So I think the biggest thing what we have achieved already as well, and it's the future as well, which is in development, is the AI ML models we are talking about,
That's right.
where through machine learnings our algorithms are able to detect what kind of content this user might want, and they are able to very on a high efficiency they're able to predict it. And this personalization of content, earlier we used to do segmentation, okay, so tier 3 city, this type of user, this type would like, but today it's not so. The globalization has
Yeah.
come down to the tier 3, tier 4 cities as well, towns as well, and villages as well. So we have to take care of that, and this was only possible on cloud. Earlier, we were doing it on GPUs, and just look at the infrastructure. Today, we have a crisis of GPUs in the world. And think about making this whole AI/ML system on your in your office and burning lakhs per month in electricity cost and infra cost and everything. And this was not possible. Like as you were saying earlier that it will become a norm. I'll say it has already become a norm. The last segment, the last industry I think to move was banking, and
Yeah.
we are sitting in a BFSI conference. Banking has shifted. Banking has moved
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
cloud. I was reading a case study from Kaxa Bank other day, and this was Oracle helped them move to cloud as well, and then making some real-time customer experience improvement in the systems. So even banks are able to give user-centric solutions with the cloud system. So this is really great. And the big data lake systems, these were not possible earlier. It is only possible right now. We are able to detect plagiarism on like on the fly. Earlier we used to go through a lot of tools to find actually this content is actually original or not. Regional content, Shubham, you have rightly pointed out. I'm a fan, by the way. So regional content, when it comes to Bangla content or any other regional language content, we want to serve from the edge node of the user's location. We do not want to serve a US or a or some other country from India. Earlier we were doing that, but now the edge nodes are so close to the the real user that the serving is an instant, right? So I think and a lot of time we wasted on development and scaling. So
Yeah.
with content, the biggest problem. So I've worked with Bhatia ma'am as well. I was in Jagran as well, and we used to work with spikes, and this was like so problematic for us because spikes might come any day. You have a
Yeah.
viral content, and that spike would go 100x what you generally deliver. To actually to maintain your systems on that spike, you need to actually always have your systems up at 100x. So whole year you are doing just 1x of what your system can actually do, and you're paying that cost in the infra and the operation cost as well. Now we have auto scale. We don't need to
Hmm.
worry. If there is a spike, there's no downtime. Our systems auto scale and they serve to our users. So our it's I think for in a sense from a point of view not only from the companies but from the point of view of users, their life has so much changed because of the cloud. This is what I see, and from the development sense as well, because I come from a development background, so I try to concentrate my focus there as well. From a development sense, we are able to experiment more because we are able to spin up more things now. Earlier we were restricted. Okay, we have Linux servers, we have these infra. We are restricted to that development environment. But now we are limitless. We can spin up whatever we want. We can experiment every day. We can break and make and do whatever we want. So from a development sense and deployment sense as well, we are really great in there. So yes, my users, they are really happy with the cloud systems. Yes.
Yeah, so this right sizing of infrastructure, this automated scaling up, scaling down as per the requirement, this is one big benefit which has made the CTOs, not only the CTOs' life easy, it has also given a lot of relief to the readers in terms of latency and good throughput. So that's really one good thing. And this inbuilt cutting edge technologies with AI and ML built in, this gives us a lot of insights to serve our consumers better. So definitely that has helped in fine-tuned targeted consumer offerings or servings, which helps us to stay ahead of competition, because in today's competitive market it's all about the numbers and retaining consumer loyalty. So this goes a long way, and with NLP and all this cognitive technologies inbuilt in it, this will go even further in this direction. So, despite all the potential and benefits, there are a lot of challenges. We must not forget that the journey is fraught with challenges, and I'm sure all of you would have faced one or the other. So, would you like to begin, Sagar, by elaborating on some of the challenges and if there are any specific to the media and entertainment industry?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to have spent a lot more time on this because that's kind of something that we are undergoing right now, right? It's not something that's all hunky dory. We spend a lot of time on the advantages, but if you ask a CISO how it's working out for him, I think it's going to be a big nightmare. Uh,
Hmm.
Predominantly, I think that has been the challenge with any cloud migration per se, right? But if you look at it now in today's trend. Uh, People who actually built their careers on traditional IT systems, like I did. I spent about a decade on traditional IT systems, and now that when we are managing a contemporary ecosystem of applications, there's no perimeter, right? We don't have a perimeter. We don't have a server to protect. We just have APIs. We have Dockers. We have containers that are just running, and then uh, the kind of security protocols that you have, that's what I said, right? There's a velocity at which it used to work earlier. Whether there's a new technology innovation, there's some time before it used to get adopted, then it stabilized for some time. People came up with security solutions. People first took some time and exploited it, and then we came up with security solutions. So the whole period used to take about a good 2 to 3 years. So by then you're already familiar with the whole ecosystem. It's not like that today. I mean, for a CISO, it's a nightmare because there's something that came up that got released as a technology probably in Jan, and in March your company wants to adopt it. They want to kind of monetize it and start running their business, overhaul their entire platform onto that new technology, but we don't know how to protect it yet. In a lot of cases, we use really basic security principles, like let's say, hey, just isolate the damn thing, right? Let's just make sure that nobody gets in and nobody gets out. It's that basic. We're getting into the basics of security where we don't really have tools. We have a lot of jargon floating around, right? You have NVDR, you have EDR, DRM, 100 jargons flowing around, but fundamentally, when you actually look at the technology, it's not, the security technology is not coping with the velocity at which the information technology is evolving, right? And that kind of puts us in a soup a lot of times. Is specific to the media industry. I think piracy, privacy, right? These two things are just so far the biggest challenges, and the cloud does not help. At least when the broadcasters were on premise, they had a hard drive which kind of had all the content, and they could just put it in a locker and secure it, right? Now it's just there on some S3 bucket, and God forbid one of your DevOps guys kind of makes one click mistake in that, and boom, the entire content is gone. Like what happened with Game of Thrones, right? Just the whole season just leaked out, right? And that's going to cost everybody a lot of money. So I think that way, from a security standpoint, at least, it's kind of becoming a nightmare. Uh, yeah, that's all I would
Correct.
say.
So, that's one. Any other challenge you might want to add, Shubhamoy? Are you there?
No, I think that covers. I think security is obviously one of the big deal. Uh, uh, See, for example, if you talk about AWS or Azure or any platform, they come with all the options to secure the server, but it all depends on the team to utilize all the options rightly. So there is a myth that cloud is a secure environment, but that's not true. Cloud gives you all the options to make it secure, and that has to be utilized properly. And I think
Yeah.
I mean, the CISOs have a very busy time these days. Obviously, with all the B2C products in place,
Yeah.
the kind of attack surface has increased to a large extent. It's not only a
Yeah.
laptop; it's properties that are out there which are vulnerable to many such incidents.
Yeah. So, the exposure is that much more, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, the vulnerabilities also increase manyfold.
right,
Correct.
right.
Yeah.
And you don't have the assurance
Piyush?
of just having your property in your pocket, right? You
Yeah.
don't have
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Which always takes us to the age old belief that I wish it was under my control, on my premise, and I do the best I could. You kind of always feeling insecure regarding the security bit because your content is lying in someone else's hands and you're always kind of on the edge. Correct.
Yeah.
Piyush, any kind of challenge that you might have faced? Anything
I'm
specific?
facing, I'm really facing a lot of challenges, and I'll like to discuss them. So, expanding on the security part, I think you guys rightly said that I will not call it a myth. More or less, the exposure is more, so the loopholes are more. I think that would be the more better explanation for that. And I think this is very analogous with real life. We might buy a very secure kind of a house and everything, and we can put iron doors and everything. And if we have a small back door in our house which is vulnerable, the whole system gets in and we get hacked. So this is the same with the cloud environment as well. The What I'll see is that right now, what I'm suffering the most is the manpower. So now we are just catching pace with cloud. So one thing is which was a blessing in disguise is becoming a devil's advocate now. Cloud is actually progressing so fast that we have to upgrade our systems. So when I was trying to auto scale, then suddenly Docker system and Kubernetes came out. Now I'm moving towards Kubernetes and something else will come out.
Correct.
So this is something which I'm always keep running with the cloud systems, and for that I need to hire more manpower. Right now we all know what kind of a demand system is going on with the tech manpower, and there's a new post creating. First, it was only developers, then came DevOps. Now this is DevSecOps. So now we are getting new positions created as well, and we have to just keep playing with the same circles again and again. So I think the biggest challenge with cloud is that it's too fast. We have to keep pacing with it.
Yeah,
With
that's true.
the security part, with manpower, with learning the new technology. Now, at our age, someone might think, that okay, fine, you have spent 2 decades in tech. You should go to sleep now, and I'm still reading. I'm still learning new things at 11 p.m. at night. I have to finish this chapter because I have to learn what new has been invented today. So these kind of challenges are coming in. Yeah.
And I think the media industry itself is learning more about because of its new dependency on this velocity of technology, right? I, I don't. I think the roles of CISOs, even smaller companies, are looking for somebody who can actually take care of infosec for them, right?
Yes.
I think they were the last people to get into this whole bandwagon of get your CTO, get your CIO, and CISOs on board ASAP. Somebody who can lead these programs. So yeah, that's good news for CISOs in a
That's,
way, and bad news in a way.
yeah. Lot of opportunities for CISOs, but true, security is one nightmare. And as
Yeah.
and as I was reading somewhere, it's like a Lego. There are so many ways of building it, and you have to get it right. So getting there is also quite a thing. Finding the right service provider to begin with, and getting it right, configuring it correctly, having all
Yeah.
your compliance in place, the security in place, and then you begin. And if you have some complex legacy applications, then you're doomed. It's
Gone.
not quite.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
you're
yeah.
gone. And have any of you faced the seamless lack of seamlessness, although promised to be seamless, the interoperability between cloud and on-prem, or the cloud one cloud to another? Rajesh, would you like to add something to that? Is it truly seamless as they promise?
So before I answer that specific question about interoperability and multi-cloud scenario, there is also an element of non-security challenges in the media and entertainment sector. The mindset still continue. The challenge of the mindset to adopt, to adapt, and to quickly imbibe still continues today. I belong to a generation of online managers. 30 years back, I stood at the crossroad of destiny when print became digital. That time nobody could understand what will be an advertising like, how the 30-second commercial will look like. Today again we are staring down the same scenario. That is inevitable. It is going to happen. So all of us need to upgrade and really make ourselves up to date. Otherwise, we'll be redundant. There's no second thing about it. So challenges will continue. The challenge is not there, then there's no fun in the work. It is going to be same work. It's going to be boring.
Yeah.
And some of the old ways of working till that generation changes, they'll continue to have the same thing. So it's very well known in the media entertainment sector. There's a big generation there. There are three generations to the best of my knowledge. So till the old generation does not change, those issues will continue. It's like the babus. The babus continue in the in the government scenarios. The top guys keep changing. Babus keep remaining the same. So the challenges continue there. Today also, when you're offering digital services, the guy down the line does not know how to update the statuses in the system. So as a consumer or as a public who's using the system, for him it doesn't make any difference because he's not getting the information. That guy didn't update it. So the mindsets, those processes, till the generation changes, the challenges will continue. And more importantly, in the online medium, we are not talking about how bandwidth sucks. Today also, we are not able to. I mean, take right now. I don't know where you are. I'm assuming you're in a corporate scenario, but you're having a bandwidth issue already. I mean, look at people outside Bombay. Look at people in rural state. Look at people outside, various states that I've been to. Bandwidth is really a challenge for people to consume normal things also. It's very difficult.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
So that challenge is really affecting. I mean, the broadband has never taken off. How much we are trying, it's not taken off, and now we are banking on a 5G kind of scenario. Again, that will be the to the appeal of the urban class who will be able to adopt it first. Rural will take time. Rural is busy with the feature phones. Rural is busy with low end smartphones. So penetrations are a real challenge. So with that, I conclude the part of what the challenges still continue as far as delivery of online cloud and those kind of environment is concerned. Now coming back to the multi-cloud scenario, again, if you are not updated and upgraded, and if you do not understand the basic principle of how these cloud technology works, you will definitely have a problem. But you have players like Aviatrix and many other companies who offer you a multi-cloud scenario. Now, if you take the proper foundation, you will be able to operate between the reputed cloud players, not with the proprietary guys who are running proprietary. So you can easily multi-operate multi-cloud. So big companies who are offering, international basis for services, they obviously have multi-cloud. They can't afford to be on a single cloud. Here we are still stuck with discussing cloud and cloud operator and stuff like that. But slowly, slowly, that will also mature. So today, not many people know about these services are available, but down the line, they'll be easy to happen. It's like, your many of these problems will get sorted out over time and other new challenges will come. So if you bank with reputed and good, like for example, with the 5G also, Open RAN, Reliance immediately adopted it. They realized what is happening. If they went for a proprietary technology, they would have been a expensive proposition for them to offer to the customers. So it is for us to, really research, understand their basics, and then use them and apply them in the line of business to jump over issues. Trust my articulation helps.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very relevant.
Sarvani, ma'am.
As you pointed out,
Okay.
bandwidth.
So I think we're running out of time. So we've spoken enough about the capabilities, benefits, and challenges. We would now like to discuss something about some of the key trends that we have witnessed so far, the media and in entertainment industry in particular, with respect to the cloud trends. Piyush, would you like to contribute?
I think trends are pretty much what we have already discussed. It's a kind of a summary of what exactly we have
Yeah,
seen.
let's just summarize here.
We have these great systems which are scalable, robust, secure, and everything. With security, we have a counter element of non-secure elements as well. So trends are pretty clear that, as I said, that it is already a norm. Every new company, even if they are trying to jump in the media and content sector, they would start on cloud. You know, Nobody is gonna start backwards now. So the trend is very clear that uh, uh, new media creations and even small startups, a single influencer as well, would start on a cloud itself. We already pointed out that in the end, employees were already using cloud, and we ourselves are using, as personal users as well. We tend to use cloud applications on our phones as well. So the whole general public's dependency is gonna be huge on cloud as well. And I think the trend would be that ultimately we will have multiple cloud partners on the same singular entity as well. Even one of our application could have multiple cloud partners with multiple cloud vendors and services. And what we need to actually learn is to harmonize in between these cloud services and these cloud providers. That would be the next trend which I'm looking at.
Sagar, you are right there at the source, at the hub of working closely with broadcasters. What is your take on this? You're right in the, where the action happens. So,
So
what trends have you?
the way we look at it, I think it's just a question of time before the whole media industry becomes digital, right? It's just everything that we discussed in terms of speed, agility, go to market, cost, monetization, consumer intelligence, analytics. You take all of these, put them into a bucket. It's just a question of time because it's just a question of time before every possible uh, media mughal is going to come and have a, and make sure that everything that they're doing is on cloud. That's period. But if you look at the other side of it, uh, I'm the way I look at it. I think we are also going to go into a point where we are not going to buy smartphones or smart high end laptops anymore. We're just going to buy a terminal and a keyboard and something that connects us to the LAN, and we're all just going to have cloud systems, right? We want to play a game, we'll get a bigger system. Once the game is over, we just pin it down and leave it, right? I think that's where the adoption is going. So it's here to stay, man. We might as well get used to it. And like we went from working on registers to working on computers, we learn how to work on cloud environments as well. Yeah, that's
Wow,
pretty much it.
interesting. You paint a very nice futuristic picture, and yeah, I'd love to see that in my working years. Because yeah, media companies, the traditional ones, are at crossroads now. For them,
Yeah,
it's sink or swim because the old business models are not working anymore. Not
correct.
only in terms of content, if they just keep focusing on content, content may be the king, but there is so much innovation going on, so much insights into it, and so this has to be there. Plus they are going to attract the advertising monies, so how are they going to survive? So it is high time for all traditional media companies also. They're all they have to, I mean, kind of rethink, review and reinvent their entire operational
Strategy.
methodology, their business model, and come up and adopt this. So cloud is definitely here to stay, and making use of all the cutting edge technology which come along with cloud is also the need of the hour. Rajesh, what do you say? You are also working and you're in the midst of a storehouse of content. What would you like to uh, add to this futuristic trend, or the kind of picture that you visualize in the near future? That where are these cloud solutions going to take us?
So I would say thanks to the pandemic, we are now having the great resignation period, as you're aware. So people who are having skills, not single skills, multiple skills, are the people who are going to accelerate. So the future is going to be such a way that there is no second thinking that IT is business and business is going to be IT. Now, for that, whatever it takes, whether it's 5G, ML, AI, you name it, he who understands and can convert it to business is the trend. All the companies today are looking out for these people, which Piyush, you will understand and agree, is they're looking for people who can catalyst at their various levels so that they can achieve simple things as business for them. So that is the trend. Prior to this, it was ransomware. Prior to this was Y2K. This is again a time for IT to really scale up and stand out and really earn for itself. That is going to be the trend.
True.
Yeah, true. Completely agree. So I guess that's it then. We are at the end of our discussion. Thank you, each one of you, for taking out time and sharing your insights, valuable insights, and I'm sure the audience would have also benefited from your learnings and your views. Thank you so much. Over to you,
Thank you, Super.
Nishant.
Thank you, speakers, for such a great, insightful session and sharing the knowledge with us. Though there were some technical issues in the beginning, it it turned out to great discussion ahead. So, thank you very much. And as a token of appreciation, Elets would like to present to you certificates for joining and supporting us. And can we have the certificates on the screen, please? Thank you, Mr. Sagar Narasimha, Chief Information Security Officer, Amagi Media Labs Private Limited, for joining the session.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Piyush Yadav, Head of Product and Technology, Scoop Whoop Media Private Limited, for joining.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Rajesh Katuria, Assistant Vice President, Information Technology, Shimaru Entertainment Limited. Thank you, sir, for joining and sharing the insights. Thank you, Mr. Bani Bhatia, Senior Vice President, Technology, Jagran Prakashan, for an interesting moderation. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank you. All the best. Bye
All
for
the
now.
best. God bless.
Bye.
Thank you.
Now, we are going to be taking a quick break for about 10 minutes, and let's get back by 4:45 for another interesting fireside chat. So look forward to meeting you this. Thank you, everyone.